So when we met, that was actually a mastermind roundtable at IHOP in Tampa. So you know, we've been running a lot of the same crowds for years, so we met then and really hit it off. You guys know I own some mobile home parks. I've owned mobile homes and on land, but so it's been something that I've always used. But a lot of people here, especially because we can deal in rural, right, Louisiana, Mississippi. I think this is a tool in people's tool belt that they actually need in our region. He's in Florida, which the only affordable housing in Florida is the mobile home parks. For all the retired folks, the 55 plus area parks, right, where it's like you literally drive by and they're like, this is where like they all like want to retire in Florida, but then they see the price. They're like, oh, well, we're going to the mobile home route, honey. So long story short, we met through that, and I'm excited to have him share tonight. So as you guys know, we usually, first of all, we don't usually have someone who's known for the t-shirts he wears, which we'll talk about that here in a bit. If you haven't noticed, I knew about his yellow shirt before I knew about him.
Because this is more memorable than this.
Tell that to your mother. She would love it. Alright, I'm going to let Adrian get started here. But as far as that goes, when we met, one thing we really clicked it off here, he's very knowledgeable when it comes to mobile home. And I've been a student learning from him in the sense of being like, you know, there's been times I've been in Tampa, I've heard him actually give this talk, or part of this talk. And again, I'll just take notes because I'm always trying to understand more. So.
And you were down there for education that we both go to over and over and over again.
So we both have a similar mentor down in Tampa. So that's kind of like where we met. So I'm gonna let you get started. Do you want people to hold their questions that they have for you throughout, or like to the end?
No, ask them. This is way more fun for me. So selfishly, I want everyone to ask questions as we go through it.
Okay.
If not, it feels like a lecture, and it's just not fun.
Okay. Well, hey, better off for you. So if you've got questions, don't hesitate to ask. And without further ado, man, let's go ahead and get started.
Well, thank you guys for having me. Who is here to learn about mobile homes? All right, good. If you didn't, I was waiting to see if anyone didn't raise their hand and ask why they're even here. Your time is important, especially because you came a special night. That's not your normal. I want to respect that you take notes. I saw someone actually had a whole notepad and everything. 2 people there.
Hey, that's a book thing. Remember we talked about giving out the books?
4, look at that. We got tons of here. I'm going to give away some of her
You can do
books.
whenever you want to, but
Well, he's the first one I saw with the notepad. What was your name?
Kevin.
Kevin. Because Kevin he walked in with it out. Taking notes, you're going to remember everything better. And it's just the way to stay engaged. So take notes, you're going to get way more out of tonight. This t-shirt is not the one I'm wearing right now, but this is the t-shirt I became known for. Everywhere I went, I wear that shirt. If I'm at home locally, where I'm actually trying to buy, I wear that shirt. And we'll talk more about that. That is my brand. That's how the brand Lifestyle REI kind of came up. You're like, well, you already are known for this bright highlighter shirt, so keep with it. And I'll talk about the brand Lifestyle REI in a minute. Let's get into it. So why would we sell a nice home like this? First of all, who knows whose quote this is? Pete Fortunato. Perfect. Yeah, that's goofy for you.
so that's our mutual mentor down in
Pete
Tampa.
Fortunato. If you don't know that name, that should be a name you write down already. He's a great person, and Courtney can direct you whenever he has classes as well. She's pretty much always at him. So why would we sell a nice home like this? This is in 2019. It appraised at $200,000. It had what most people would say is good bank financing. It had cash flow. That's the most important part, right? It had cash flow. That's net cash flow. So why would I sell this house? It's when you participate. Take a guess. Why am I here?
For more cash flow.
The equity.
Okay, but what am I here to talk about?
Mobile
Mobile homes. To buy mobile homes. Perfect.
Use that money to buy those homes.
Yep. So we did a 1031 exchange. The very short on what a 1031 exchange is, I'm not going to get into it, is we did not pay the taxes, we'll pay them at a later date, and we reinvested all the money in. So we reinvested into 7 mobile homes with the dirt. We spent $174,000. So if you do some real quick math, that means we spent a little bit of money. We like to spend money because we live off of this, and I'm not just gonna snowball it forever and ever and ever. I wanna travel and eat and play. So it's a little bit to enjoy it. We did $50,000 in repairs to get these 7 what we consider rent ready. In the very beginning, we were talking about the differences of what everyone thinks is rent ready. That's not the topic for tonight, but we do handyman specials. And that is who my avatar is that I want to live in my properties. $50,000 is what it took to get 7 mobiles. Some people do that in like 1 or 2 rentals. In general, even if we weren't doing handyman specials, they are still a little bit cheaper to work on. But the big reason of why we did this is for the cash flow. It went up to $3,300 a month. Well, do you want $4,600 a year, or almost $40,000 a year? That's 857% more cash flow. Cash flow is why I invest in mobile homes. I really don't care about anything else. I can get some appreciation, I can get some other things. Cash flow is why I buy mobile homes. That is my #1 reason. Everyone get it? So cash flow is why. Let's say cash flow.
Cash flow.
So about me, I started in real estate by getting these letters. These are all eviction letters when I was a tenant. I was a terrible tenant. This is about 20 years ago. My favorite one is right here. It's for parking the motorcycle in the living room. Courtney mentioned I'm in Central Florida, so between Tampa and Orlando, and that's where this was. And my friend's reasoning for parking it in the living room was it got too cold, and he didn't want to wait for it to warm up. And I know it doesn't really get that cold here, but it gets even less cold there. But that was his reasoning. So they didn't like us parking the motorcycle. After our final time of getting evicted, I think it was our 2nd or 3rd place of actually being removed. I had a family member that was a mortgage broker. He said, buy a property. Well, remember 20 years ago, you didn't need anything. You didn't need a heartbeat. You just had, someone had to put a signature down. It didn't have to be you. And they gave you houses. So I bought this house. It cost me $1,500 out of my checking account. And I moved all my friends in. That's also less than it costs to move into a rental, which was kind of crazy. But I moved my friends in to help me get evicted. I was part of the problem. But I moved all of them in, and I learned why our landlord hated us. I got to learn a little bit of that. So I was on the other side. But I was living for free. I was like, this is pretty cool.
Because they were all paid.
Yeah, we all divvied up, living by the room. So a few years later, I bought a second property. But that one had an ARM, an adjustable rate mortgage. And I was losing a little bit every month, but it's okay. In 2 years, you'll refinance, and you'll take some money out, and everything will be fine. That works unless you buy at the top of the market, which is what I did. And then as it was coming down, my rate was going up. Knowing nothing, that's not what I would have expected. So my little bit of negative was turning into a bigger negative every month. And I was already renting that one out by the room. So I was already, we'll say, maximizing what that property could produce. I held for a few years because my ego wasn't going to let me be wrong. And I was like, I'm not going to sell this at a loss. I ended up selling it for a loss. It really dinged my ego. I didn't want to do any more real estate. Really, looking back, it was my ego that was dinged. My credit, all I knew was what banks told me. So I couldn't do anything for 2 years. That's what the bank said. I found a property I wanted to buy. I went back to the mortgage guy. He said, 3 weeks ago, they changed the rule 3 years since your start. I was devastated again. I said, all right, well, in a year I'll come back to this thing. In a year I go back to it and buy another property. Then I bought, well, my girlfriend at the time, wife now, I convinced her, banks liked her. So we used her credit a little bit. We bought a few, but then I went to this REIA thing. high school friend just kept inviting me on Facebook. This is when Facebook events were brand new. And I was just annoyed, like, why does she keep inviting me to these things? And I have no idea why. 1 month I went, and I have been hooked ever since. In Tampa, we have tons of them. So I was going to 4 to 8 a week, every single week.
Wow.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner some days. I would drive within 2 hours span, and I would go to as many as I could. I got hooked on the education, the networking. I still love REIAs. Bought a few more properties. That's whenever I learned the, we'll say, creative side, the non-bank world. And then that pain and that ego blemish from the past started coming back about 6 years ago. I was like, these numbers don't make sense. We're at the top of the market. So I've been very wrong for 6 years. I've been thinking we've been at the top and we cannot go any higher. But because of that, I started searching for something different and new. And I would come to the meetings, and I started listening and talking to the seasoned investor, the maybe shiny-haired or shiny scalp person, seasoned one in the back of the room. The ones that didn't even do another deal, but they really enjoyed what they're doing. Almost all of them talked about mobile homes, so I said, they've been in the game longer than I've been alive. Why don't I listen to them? So I started buying mobile homes, and the cash flow was great. So over the years, what we've moved to is now we buy and hold mobile homes. We've gotten rid of all of our site-built homes. It was very fortunate that we bought, and the appreciation worked on my side this time. And bought, and now we've been selling some of them site-builts. Don't own any more site-builts. I'm actually selling my primary residence right now. And putting that money into more mobiles because of the cash flow. I've spent a ton of money on education. I bring that up just because I think it's so important. When I was writing my book, I started doing research and realized between masterminds and education, I spent over $100,000. And I bet you I do 3 or 4 or 5 times that before I die because I am an education junkie. I just love it.
So out of curiosity, if you're selling your primary, where are you living in after that? You want it to a mobile home, or you want it to an RV, or?
I am moving into a 12, I'm already moved, sorry, I'm not moved in. My company is renting an office space that's 12 by 14. And in case I need to take a nap, there's a bed there. And I'm gonna be traveling around and speaking a lot more. So I went from 1,800 square foot to 12 by 14.
Mention your wife. Mention your, I was about to say,
My-
happy wife, happy life.
My
Mention your wife first.
wife is a travel RN, so we've actually worked her out of the business.
And that actually makes sense for you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that question was gonna come next. She's a travel RN, she loves that. She's been all over, but now she's really staying in Denver more than anywhere else. She spent 2 months in Hawaii, and because of real estate and what the freedom I've created, I've been able to just fly out and see her. And instead of her coming home, I can go to see her. And so she's gonna stay in Denver for probably the rest of the year. I'll travel around and I have a little home-based office.
Okay.
I have 3 licenses. I have a driver's license, a scuba license, and a marriage license. I do not have a license to do real estate at all. And I only say that because sometimes people think you have to have one. It is a really good time to be an agent right now. But it's not in my vision. It's not what I do. You don't have to have one. I am always buying for me and help people know that.
And you also don't have a mobile home dealer license either.
A good point. I do not have a mobile home dealer license. And we can touch on that if you want, but I don't deal. I like to buy from me. We were talking at dinner before here that wholesaling is a very small percentage of my business because I'm not great at it. I don't enjoy it a lot. I wholesale doesn't fit my box. I have a very strict buying. Well, more of a diamond because it's literally a diamond where I buy within 30 minutes from my house or my office now. And if it doesn't fit that along with a very strict criteria, I don't buy it. But I still want to help the people and I still want to make some money. So in that case, I'll wholesale it out or maybe even bird dog I'm also now speaking, educating, and I'm a best-selling author. That one's still a little weird to say because it's really new, but it's true, so I have to say it. Yes, sir.
So what is your criteria?
It starts with now my avatar person that's going to move in there, my resident that's going to move in. I have created that person, and it is a blue-collar handyman, handywoman. So I look at what does he or she want, and everything goes from there. So I start with the end in mind.
Okay.
We can talk a little more in after hours on that. I mean, I literally just did a whole class full day, so it's hard to put it in a small piece. But that's the biggest key difference, I would say, is I start with who I want to move in and start there, and then I do everything for there. Will they want to live there? And so there's mobile homes in my area that I don't want to buy. They're not where people want to live. But one of my criteria is I have to feel safe letting my wife drive by the property alone at night. And I've learned that the hard way, not sending her, but like I bought in areas that I shouldn't have been buying in. It just doesn't fit my personality. All right, let's move back to mobile homes. This is one you just shout out. Which is the trailer, which is the mobile home, and which is the manufactured home?
The ride is the manufacturer.
Everyone can just yell them out.
The left is the trailer.
Okay.
The mobile home to the left. Yeah.
All right, anyone else?
The middle's available.
All right, so you three are probably right, but it's really depends on which side of the deal I'm on. If I'm buying, I'm gonna call them all trailers.
Right.
If I'm selling or leasing, I'm gonna call them all manufactured homes. I don't care what they technically are. It's the language I'm gonna use depending on what side of the deal. So I call it a trailer until they correct me one, maybe 2 or 3 times. I might push them a little bit. I'm gonna keep.
How
calling
often do
it
you
a trailer.
get corrected though?
It's not that often, but, and I don't know that I've ever bought from someone that corrects me. Because if they're correcting me, they probably want more money, because they're playing the same game. They're trying to bring it up a little bit. All right, to me, there's 3 main ways to invest in mobile homes. You can buy just the home, meaning you pay lot rent every month. You only own the home. Look, I think the only place in America that is worse for hurricanes is here. In my geology class, I think the guy, he said that New Orleans was number 1, and St. Pete was number 2. We're the second lowest to sea level ratio or something, and then historically of guinea pig. But we have, we've broken actually a lot of the averages. We're overdue by like 5 hurricanes we hit, so we're glad they keep coming up here. Sorry guys.
Hey, don't say that and walk down the street. You won't make it home.
I know. But, you know, the hurricanes are still an issue for us. So we'll talk a little bit about these, but there you're only owning the home. You have to keep that in mind. Or you can do our main business, which is the home and dirt. So worst case, it gets blown away, you still own some dirt. And you can sell it to this guy and he'll hopefully sell it for you. Or you can own the whole park. I've never bought any parks. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them that I know from friends and what I look at with parks. So let's quickly look at the homes where you pay the lot rent. Some things I like about these is they are cheap to get in. Very cheap. They're going to be your lowest cost to get in. Yes, sir.
Can you back up one more slide? Can you back up one slide?
Yep. These are the 3 main ways to invest in them. And they also kind of go in the price points. That's what we're going to talk about now. So you own just the home. You're not buying any dirt. You're buying just the home and the right to pay someone lot rent every month. So I like that they're cheap to get in. They're recession resistant. And they're really good ROI. A great ROI. I don't like that the park manager makes all the rules. All the rules. If they want to break fair housing, they still do it, and you don't really get a choice. And I have had park managers tell me that they will break fair housing. And they tell me that behind closed doors. I wouldn't do that if I didn't. But it traps me. I still have to go by what they say or do. So it brings me into that world. I don't like that I lose that control. These 2 on your left, just over a year ago, April 5th last year, we get an email from the park manager that says, you can no longer own any homes in here that you don't live in. It has to be out of your name by the end of the month. So what do? You try to fight it? I don't like to put my energy towards negative things like that. So I just sold them. I made money. I sold them for cash to homeowners. I made really good money for the years I owned them, and I made a good profit there. But what if that was my entire portfolio? That could have been scary. So that's just one of my things. I lose a little bit of control. I like control. I think a lot of investors like control. That's one reason we're in business for ourselves. Lot rent is probably going to go up every year. And if it doesn't, just count on it anyways. Because once the new park owner gets a hold of it, it's going to go up every year. And it's going to start being ran like a business.
And lot rent can really vary. I mean, here it can be anywhere from $150 to $350 a month.
So cheap.
Well, okay, in Florida,
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
so
don't give
cheap.
your Florida numbers. What are they in Florida?
I mean, I will look at it if it's as low as 400. And we get up into the thousands for lot rent.
For lot rent. So very different markets, but here in our area, keep that in mind.
Yes,
Austin,
ma'am.
Texas, they're leasing lots for $750.
$750.
Yes, it can vary.
And they can,
Is
mine
that
really
monthly or
quick.
yearly?
Monthly.
Monthly. So for me, really quick, I'm gonna look at one of these, and I'm not the expert on these, it's not my niche, but I've made really good money in my growth phase. I want to be able to rent it for at least double what lot rent is, and I wanna sell it on payments for at least double my all-in cost. If it doesn't pass that test, I don't even look at it. That doesn't mean that's what I buy at, but that's like the, what's it?
Like the sniff.
The estimate, the sniff test that,
So you mean,
That
like if you
quick
buy the trailer for $5,000, you want to be able to sell it for 10.
yeah.
And if it's $1,000 a month, and like, or if it's $500 in lot rent, you want to be able to get at least $1,000 a month.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's mine really quick. If that doesn't pass out and it's real easy, I won't even investigate it. And you want to talk to the park manager. I know there's ways to get around it and do these different things. You're asking for headaches. Remember that park manager makes all the rules, and they have to approve your person. So you piss them off, they're just not going to approve them. So, great ROI and recession resistant.
Why do you say it's recession resistant? You mind real quick breaking that down?
Courtney, you were the earliest someone's ever asked me that. You're going to hear it in the next few slides.
Okay, good.
So the reason
It's half of what our dinner was about, so it's on my
The
mind.
reason is we are the affordable housing space.
Yeah, it's
And affordable, I mean, because even I have stuff that I don't consider affordable anymore, but it's still, we're in the affordable housing.
Out of all my portfolio, my goal is we were talking about this at dinner. I've been adjusting it, but my portfolio, I've been making a lot of adjustments in my portfolio since 2020, and one part of it is I've got my nice houses in nice neighborhoods, but my affordable play is I'm getting out. I'm selling my houses that have bullet holes in the side of them. Down in downtown Covington, I literally own a house with a bullet in the side of it. I just told Tim, I'm like, I'm not taking it out. Like, we're gonna patch over it, like, or whatever. But unless the police need it. But like, I'm trying to get out of those starter homes that I got into investing, trading up into nicer homes. So what's my affordable housing play? It's my mobile home parks. It's my mobile home ones. That's my affordable play in my portfolio.
And what happens in the next recession? Not if, but when we are going to have one at some point. And when a 2-household income that barely makes it, when they're at the top of the housing, whatever your rent is top, when one loses their job, they have to move down, and that continues until you get the affordable housing. And now you have more people. So just by paper economics, more demand with less supply, rents would go up. I'm not counting on them going up. What I'm excited about, I don't like that word excited. What I like about that idea is I have a larger pool of applicants now. And I can look for someone that should be a better applicant if I even lose my people. So I might have a lawyer living in one of these, not because he wants to, because he has to for
Because he just went to
short-term.
bankruptcy or something.
Yeah,
or
bankrupt. There's lots of
foreclosure
people.
or whatever.
I don't believe I'm gonna go without someone living there and paying.
Yeah.
And that's when we have trouble, when we have vacant properties. But that is the recession resistant. And you have the record now. I'll let you know if anyone can ever beat that.
Thanks.
The earliest asking. Alright, so next we have mobile homes with dirt. Obviously, these are gonna cost a little more money, because you're buying dirt, you get the land with it. So they're still gonna be the recession resistant and great ROI. Not as good as the others, but still really good ROI. What I don't like so much is mobile homeowners I have found don't update their properties as often. You can see we've got some yellow vintage countertops
Hey, those are making
from
a
the
comeback.
70s. Yeah, they might be. Are they really? Because that's my sales pitch. I don't know if they really are.
Some of those vintage,
Colors, okay.
or make, Target actually had it in their weekly ad this week, they had a vintage
Yeah.
Polar
So
Sand.
I could have got more money from this place, is what you're saying.
And the refrigerator.
Bro, you need to track down that Target ad and be like, look, Target
Leave it
said
on-
it's in.
On the counter.
Yeah.
That same property, it had shag carpet. Is that coming back in style?
Oh,
No?
God,
Okay.
I hope
No.
Oh.
It actually had the carpet raked and my handyman threw it away.
Oh.
Pissed me off. But it has shag carpet. That's original. That probably means the subfloor is original, right? Does anyone know what was in 70s mobile homes? What type of subfloor they used back then?
Asbestos?
No.
Like cardboard,
I wish.
like a particle
Yeah.
board.
Cardboard? Really?
No, it's like a
close.
particle, like a particle
Particle.
board.
Yeah.
So it's
like.
sawdust that was glued together. When that gets wet, you
And
fall
what
for
year
it.
was that again?
I don't know what year they stopped.
It was the
making it, like
70s.
The 70s, they definitely had it. I think there was even a little in the 80s, I think. I'm not sure. I don't know a lot of these real statistics. I just buy stuff and rent it. And I'm not good at the rehab side. I don't fix a flip. I don't know how. I've done one by accident and I made money. My way that I have combated the fact that I am not good at the rehab side is I just buy even better numbers. So it goes from a great deal to a good deal when I messed up. I learned I'm better at fixing that side than fixing how to rehab.
And that's why you sell on the handyman special
Yes,
type.
That's another reason.
Not
Fix
sell,
it.
you rent to.
Rent. Yeah, and it fits my personality.
So your handyman did that?
No, I rented this just like this. I didn't do anything there. This, the guy gave it to me. This is,
What he did.
he had already done it. That's an 80s. Now you can rebuild these. You just have, what I want you to know about the fact that they don't usually update is you probably are gonna have to go in there and do repairs, especially depending on where your level of comfort is. Just know that people don't always do repairs on them, and you will need to. You can either do them in a, we'll say, a mobile home quality, where you don't do the best quality, or you can go in and put 2x4 sheetrock. I mean, you can redo it the exact same way. We were talking about it before. I know a guy does granite in his mobile homes. He does the exact same thing in $250,000 houses as he does in his mobiles. He probably makes.
But is he in the $1,000 a month mobile home park rent?
Well,
Yeah.
no, he sells them on payments. So he gets a premium.
Makes them very
and he
nice.
sells them. He has a crew, but he has a system that can do that. The point is, you can put any finish you want. Once you learn that they're just on a chassis, like there's a frame underneath it, that's really the only difference. If you want to go and rebuild the whole thing, you can. If you want to keep about the same quality, paper thin walls, just put wallboard up, you can do that. Just learn what type of materials you're gonna use.
What's your rule of thumb on buying a home and land?
That's the main business I'm in. I know.
What's your rule of thumb of criteria that you look at? How much you pay versus
Your point
rent?
system on it, what you.
So I mainly value two ways. Number one is cash flow.
Mhm.
That's really what I'm buying. And nowadays, more than I used to, I value headache. And I can't put a formula to that.
Right.
So an older one with, that I know is gonna have more
Work.
property problems and work, I'm going to have more headache, more work, I wanna get paid more. I just bought in 1997, that most of it has already been redone. There's a new roof, a new AC. I'm willing to pay a little bit more because I don't have much headache there. And I do the same value with the area it's gonna be in. Is it going to attract someone that's going to cause me problems? I wanna get paid more if I do that. So most of my value is in that headache. But the cash flow, you really have to decide what you want as your return. So I look at all in divided by net. Years ago, I was buying, we'll say a lot of them at around 30% ROI, all in money.
So you're talking if you are purchase plus rehab, all in for 40,
Closing, purchase, rehab, everything at 40.
and then let's just say when you run your numbers on a monthly basis, let's say you get 1,000 in rent, you minus, your, all your expenses, and then let's just say you walk away with, $400.
Yep.
So you do 40,000 divided by 40.
Yep.
That's how you do.
Exactly. And
Okay, that's the equation
and
part that
run-
he's looking at.
run property management, even if you were managing your own,
Mhm.
because you might get lazy one day and turn them over to a property manager, or you might grow big enough that you need to hire someone.
And you need it
You
built
don't
in.
have that number built in from the beginning,
No.
you're gonna be in trouble. And you should be paid for your time, even if you do it. And that was a hard mindset shift for me. My coach kept pushing me, and I'm really glad, because I have a office manager now that she takes care of a lot of this, and now the properties are able to afford her. I don't get that money now. She gets, basically paying her with a lot of that money, but start out by putting, because a lot of people just like, oh, well, I'm gonna manage it, I don't need it, I can not do that 10%. Put it in there. If
So
you find one
you
else.
were at 30 when you started, you said?
I'm sorry?
You said you were at 30 when you started?
30,
30% return?
yeah, I bought a decent amount, around 30, 25 to 30%.
Is that going up or down?
The one I just bought is gonna be mid-teens. I don't have the tenant out to,
So he's in one of the hottest market in America.
Yeah.
So one of the hardest things is that is a very competitive. There's hedge funds in his market, so there's a level here that his numbers aren't going to compare to ours in some ways, right?
Yeah.
I just want to say that and keep that in mind because
and I really don't like to even say that percentage, because I got stuck at the meeting we really met at, very seasoned investors, and those guys only tell their best stories.
yeah,
And I got stuck in, well, it's not that number, I can't buy it, when it was still a good deal. So you just have to figure out what works for you. A lot of those that were that high were high headaches. And I didn't have a headache value so much then, now I do. And now I'm upgrading where I want less headache, which I'm okay with less return. But as I was growing, one of my mentors, as he would say, is you buy what your bank account can afford. So I bought a lot of stuff that I do not want to own anymore, and now we're kind of selling that off and then getting a little bit better quality. I don't regret buying any of them.
This kind of goes back to the same question, but like, how long does it take, like, average with like a mobile home on dirt to get your initial investment back? And I know, I didn't calculate that. But like, I know it's like with houses, it takes a long time, and land, it's not as much. I figure it's probably somewhere in the middle.
It depends what you're going to settle for. But whenever I had gotten to a good spot, I was going to start using more of my own cash, and I told my coach, well, I'm just going to use that and buy the lesser return properties, and then use the financing and private money, which we'll get to, with the higher return ones. He's like, why? Like, you can find these. You've proven you can, so why are you even going to settle for lower returns? And that really stuck with me. And even today's market where people can't find deals and my area is super competitive, I know people doing numerous a week. They're putting a lot more work in than I am to find them.
yeah. Like Mark gets
And-
multiple deals every
yeah,
week in
if-
the hottest market.
If you are still doing that, it means it's possible. I'm just settling and saying I don't want to do multiple deals a week. But if you're gonna say I'm only gonna buy a 50% ROI, return on investment property, you're probably gonna buy less, you're gonna do a lot more work. But if that's your line in the sand, that's where it should be. You just have to understand that you're gonna buy less, and that's my model, I buy less at a better return. My goal is to buy and keep for a year. I was just at a really big event, and I met people that they do 4 to 6 a week for dozens of years. And I almost got to the comparison thing. I'm like, you're doing in a week my year goal, in a year my lifetime.
That's hard to fathom.
But they're doing smaller margins, and I'm doing bigger.
Well,
So
and
there's
it's
nothing
also,
wrong, they both work.
so I call that keeping up with the Joneses
Yes.
syndrome, right? It's, you hear people doing hundreds of deals a year, and you're like, I need to be
Whenever
doing
that.
it's something that I've had to learn because at one point I was spending $7,500 a month in marketing. I had 7 people on my team because I was like, I thought the only method was doing hundreds of deals a year, and the effort it takes to get that right is a lot. I'm now like sub 50 deals a year, and I'm like way different effort than hundreds of deals a year. My marketing budget is the 500 out of the 7,500 or something like that a month. It's a very different business approach. You just have to decide what you want.
Yeah.
Because for a year, some people are like, you're buying 4 rentals a year? I buy one every few years.
Yeah.
But some people are like, I buy 40 in a month or whatever, right? There's always going to be levels. You have to decide what you want.
And I value my time a little bit more. So it's, I think my biggest year was keeping 9. That's the most I've ever bought and kept in a year. And we actually did bigger rehab. That was a year that we did the 7. And that was a lot. I worked an insane amount. So let's move on though, because I want to get through all these slides. Mobile home parks. I'm going to tell you again, I bought one, and correct me if I say anything that you disagree with, Courtney. These can be, again, recession resistant and great ROI. But they can be ran mainly 2 different ways. You own everything. Homes, dirt, everything. You own a flat apartment complex. Or you own just the dirt and everyone owns their own home and you charge lot. Basically a big parking lot. I like the big parking lot model. If I'm going to look at one, I'm going to either convert it over or already have that. A lot of the older mobile home parks are, if I buy one, this is probably what I'm going to buy from, I assume. Someone has owned it, they developed it, they may even have a house there, they manage it, they do everything. That person's had it for a really long time, and they have a massive profit in it. So shouldn't we help them understand that if they sell it for cash, they're gonna have to pay a lot of taxes? And you get with the CPA, here was it Dan, was it, or
Bob Norton.
Bob, and have him maybe sit down with them and help them understand that you should make them payments on it. So I think owner financing with the right scenario is a really good chance.
Actually, it's very common in this asset class because there's not a lot of funding sources for mobile home parks, and most sellers had to buy on seller financing because they knew they couldn't find the funding. Funding exists. Most of the lenders are prejudiced. They just want to lend to parks with land only. There is a third method where you own the land and you originally own the trailers, but you sell them on payments. Yeah. So it's kind of that third hybrid where you're selling them on payments. They now are paying you lot rent plus a mortgage for the trailer. And then you're ultimately going towards just owning the land once you effectively sell all of the trailers.
And that's what I would do if I bought just a wobbly box farm that I owned everything. I would start selling off the wobbly boxes. So combining the first method of owning just the home and selling that off. I don't know that I'm going to buy one now. I still look at a few a year, but it doesn't fit my vision because I hear about inspections that you have to have and permits and all these different things. I was like, I don't do any of that. I mean, sorry, my friends don't do any of that. I just want the single family. I like the idea of the single. I've never done any multifamily, but single family person generalizing likes privacy and not services. And a lot of multifamily want more services. Tenants talking. I'll do any of this, but I just want to get paid more, is my theory. I'm also looking for one that is in the path of progress. That in my lifetime, a builder's gonna come and buy it, and it's gonna cash me out. So that's, when I look at them, I kind of value that. This big one here, this is actually a Google Earth. That one's $850 a month lot. Actually, that's 3 years ago, so it's probably gone up. It was $850 a month lot. It's a massive, that's only a small section of it.
So in Florida, they have a ton of like 55 plus mobile home parks. And obviously Florida, you get that waterfront.
30 to 60,000 for the unit, and then you get to pay that lot rent in there. So, and people do it, they're always full.
Now you guys can all build into your dreams that you can live in Florida on the waterfront, but it's just going to be
That's exactly what it
after
is.
you're 55 years old. And in a park.
Great ROI still and recession resistant. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to throw this in. Many years ago, before Hurricane Katrina, my private money lender owned 2 gigantic mobile home parks in Florida. That's how he made his millions.
Let's move on because I think we're getting, I loved all the questions, but I do want to get through all the slides as well. Lenny Similor, he's one of my mentors. I originally met him at the IHOP meeting. This is what he said. This is how my avatar idea really came apart. When you buy your home, you buy your tenant. So if you buy a good home, and a good neighborhood, you're probably going to get a good tenant. And then the exact opposite is true. If you buy a not so good home, and a not so good area, you're probably not going to get the best tenant. So the home is where it starts. That is, there's no right or wrong. It's whatever you want to deal with. I don't deal well in the war zones and where I don't feel safe. That's where I start all of it. So you figure out what that's going to be, and then you start marketing. How do we find them? Well, we do the same marketing that everyone else does. We just change the word house, and we change it with mobile home. So the only thing I have never bought from is a letter. I've done letters. I've hired people for letters. I've never bought with a letter. I think I'm the only investor that has not bought something with a letter. But postcards, Google AdWords, bandit signs, I was really big with them. I'm very consistent. I've been known for being very consistent. I put out 50 a week, every single week for over 2 years. I think in total it was closer to 3.5 years. And I at times went 8 months without buying anything. And I started thinking, why am I doing this? And I closed a wholesale deal that paid for 3.5 years worth of bandit signs. And I was like, that's why I'm continuing to do that. MLS, this is all the different ways we've paid for marketing. But the way that I've gotten historically half my deals, and now it's all my deals, is networking. Realtors and REIAs. So one of the reasons you should be coming to all the meetings. I would go to the meetings, and you say that you normally kind of do a little bit of networking. I always said, I buy mobile homes. When I had the shirt on, my wife buys mobile homes. Every time someone comes up to me afterwards, like, why would you buy them? Don't they depreciate? They're terrible investments. They gave me all these lists, and I was like, you're right, they're terrible. Send me all your leads. And they would. I mean, I had people ask me for $200 bird dog fee if I closed on it. So I sent them $500 because I'm going to overpay them. They thought it was worthless, and I would pay them all the time. Realtors, it's another one. I go to realtor networking events. They actually give you food and drinks and doll you up. Where us investors are cheap.
Yeah, we're cheap and broke. Because in case anyone here is from the IRS, we're cheap and broke.
I'm not licensed, as I mentioned. I've gone and paid for the continuing education. I also said I'm an education junkie. But why else? Those are the really serious realtors. You probably see, the same-ish people, the same groups, because the same groups are doing a lot of the deals. And you're going to get the same percentage on a mobile home with land, and I don't know what the average price is, a $250,000 house. It has extra zero. Same percentage, so most people don't want to do the work for the smaller commission.
That's true.
But they want to help people. So I became the knowledge source. I'd help them out with anything they needed, and then every once in a while they would refer a person to me. Networking and realtors, I don't know why investors and realtors got this thing where they don't work well together. 2 properties ago, came from a realtor. She had the listing that was about to go live, and she told me about it. She's like, he doesn't have time really for it to go on MLS. She showed it to me, and I said yes. I negotiated down just a tiny bit so they knew that I wasn't just giving away and they weren't going to go up. I would have paid what they're asking. It works for me, the numbers. But realtors and other investors. I have bought a few from wholesalers. Wholesalers are starting to understand mobile homes a little bit more, but a lot of times they just thought there was no money in them, and they give leads away. One
Or
reason
they don't know how to value how to evaluate them.
And I'm very open, even before I actually started educating. It's always been very open on my knowledge with it.
One thing to highlight is we've got the exchange meeting that's once a month. where it's nothing but a deal-making meeting. So if you have mobile homes for sale, or if you're looking to buy, that is our meeting that literally it's via Zoom, and he knows very well with exchange meetings. Are those a huge part of what you mean
Oh,
by?
yeah.
So yes, there's a networking meetings like these, right, where it's educational and networking, but those exchange meetings, which I went to Tampa to learn how to do them, to bring them here, are a huge part of it because it's purely deal making.
Those are very powerful to be here, exchange meetings. Two things I did want to mention. If you're doing any kind of marketing, if you're doing any of this, I don't care if it's mobile homes or not, if you're doing networking, which is what I'm doing more of, you gotta do at least 6 months. I don't know why the magic number is 6 months. There's lots of data on it. There's some psychological thing that it takes 6 months for something to work. So now, if I were to look at paying for something, so I just did some newspaper ads or classifieds. Because I was like, oh, maybe it'll work again.
They still exist?
Yeah, I was like the only one in it. It didn't end up working. But I wanted, we can talk later about why I tried it. But I looked at it as a 6 month. They were trying to give me the monthly cost, actually a weekly cost. I had to do my 6 months because I was going to commit to 6 months regardless of what happened. So 6 months. Networking. Another thing that I do with networking, I'm always wearing my shirt. Everywhere I go. Everything I do, I am wearing this shirt. My wife buys. I'm out having fun doing stuff that real estate allows me to do. So I'm marketing on Facebook without marketing.
I totally like the biking habit.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, do you have more?
I didn't
Do
know
you
where that
have?
was.
Do you have the?
Well, hang on.
Okay.
So everywhere I go, I even made cycling jerseys because we used to cycle a lot. I'm always posting. I'm,
I saw that.
so yeah, anyone that follows me, the few people here that do.
Yeah.
I knew about his shirt before I knew about
always
him.
Yeah.
post. I actually posted today because I honestly couldn't figure out which shirt to wear. This one or the My Wife
You asked
Buys.
for an opinion, I loved it.
So that was because I really wanted an opinion, but am I also not marketing myself in a very fun way? When I used to just post, I buy mobile homes. No one cared. And no one replied, and it didn't get any traction. When I'm out having fun, and then people see the shirt, they remember.
It also makes your wardrobe really easy. Cause you're like, what
Yeah.
pants am I gonna wear with the shirt?
It is getting a little more difficult because I have like really old ones that have like really bad pit stains because I do my laundry. And
'Cause
I don't
I
know how to
do
get all that out. And then I have cleaner ones, so I'm like holding it up to the light trying to figure out which is a
That is
nicer one to
definitely a
wear.
guy.
But anyways, let's get back to serious.
TMI.
Well,
No, I was like, that's a guy comment if there ever has been one.
you know, I like to go swimming, and I would go scalloping every year. I try to with some family. And if I'm scalloping, I'm gonna wear my shirt, right? It's a little uncomfortable.
Well,
And
you-
if I'm scalloping, the scallops and other boaters still need to know what I do. So I must my marketing fits my personality. That's part of what I want to talk about in the marketing. It fits me. Now, everyone's going to remember this if you like it or not. It's not going to leave your brain, but you're going to remember me and that we buy mobile homes. My wife buys mobile homes. I have to spend a lot less dollars on marketing because my shirt's memorable.
Oh, I thought you were gonna meet the dollars on because it was less material.
That actually costs way more than shirts, believe it or not. If you have to, it has to fit your personality. I can talk forever on marketing of why. Let's talk afterwards. But find something that fits your personality, and everyone has something unique about them, and cater to that, and you'll spend less dollars on marketing. So everyone's finished here? Okay. All right, let's talk about some actual pieces. I don't know the law here, and it sounds like it's actually way more confusing than Florida. I'm going to tell you what you need to go research. The tie downs and piers. Piers, those are the things that are in wood frame houses that hold the weight of it. They do the same thing in a mobile home. They hold all the weight. You need to find out if you care. If you're going to fix and flip, the bank's going to care, and the insurance is going to care. If you're going to buy and hold, like me, I don't care to bring these up to code. But I still kind of want to know, is it up to code or not? There's going to be a length of how often there needs to be one. I don't even fully remember what it is in Florida because I don't fix and flip and I don't need to bring them up to code. But I want to know that they're standing up. You'd be surprised how many times they're falling over, or there's water running right underneath and it's about to fall over, or they're not there at all and just sitting on the ground. You need to look underneath there. We have this metal strap, it's tied out. It literally wraps around the I-beam of the trailer, and it anchors the wobbly blocks into the ground so that it doesn't blow over. There's different code for that as well. What I'm looking at, because I'm not bringing them up to code, is are they even there? Are they rusted? Do I need to replace them? Because I am going to replace them if they're not there. I want it to be safe. I'm just not as concerned about bringing it up to code. If I'm going to fix and flip, you want to make sure about that. And we'll talk about insurance because that's always a topic that comes up here. Another thing I want you to look at is the HUD data label. I think it's technically called a plate, but it's a piece of paper. So I call it a label. It's a piece of paper. And it's in the master bedroom closet. And this didn't start until June 15th, 1976. That's the year that HUD, the federal government, basically said, we need to have some type of standard for these things. And joke around that before that, they just made them out of toothpicks. They didn't upgrade the material too much then, but now they are. If you buy one now, it's the exact same building material as in a house.
So you said you mostly find them in the...
Master bedroom closet. I've seen them in the breaker box, little panel door there, and then in the kitchen underneath the sink and the door there.
So the main places I find them are the kitchen cabinets. I usually start in the upper.
You buy newer ones.
Oh no, those are I've found those in 1960s and 1980s. I've also found them on the tongue plate, where those are going to be more like a metal like plate.
That's going to be the exact same of a utility trailer where it has it stamped in there.
Yeah, and so I go looking for this, and I'm gonna let you continue, but that's one of the things I start. They do not always have them, because like, what if they renovate the cabinets and it was in there? Not all people are gonna say, yeah, you need to have that.
They don't keep them all the time. They paint over them.
Or if they were before 1976,
they don't even
like,
have them.
they don't even have them.
Why do you want it? It tells you the wind zone rating. It gives you the information where it was built, and it gives you the VIN, which I like to take the VIN and match it to the title. Do you have DMV? Are they governed in here?
Yeah, the DMV.
That's what I thought.
It depends on if they're tied to the land or if they're separated.
In most states, the DMV governs it. A few states, like California, didn't have enough branches of the government, so they created another to actually govern mobile home titles. But luckily, you guys don't have to deal with that either. So it's a mobile home title. It looks like a car title, and it has a VIN that I like to match there. If you buy in a single wide, you get one. A double wide, you get two. Does anyone know the difference of a double wide with two different titles on the VIN? There's a one particular VIN that's different.
A and a B.
A and a B. So they are meant to be married together. The number is going to be the exact same, but one is going to have an A and the other one's going to have a B.
Mhm.
What if they're two totally different numbers?
Then they join together at the wrong.
Yeah.
They got pieced. I've seen multiple of them get pieced together.
So they're pieced together. It's two single wides, so or maybe two different double wides. Maybe they were divorced and then they got remarried. Everyone knows someone's got remarried and they work, right?
So like when they move a double wide down the
Business,
street,
yeah.
have you guys ever seen a double wide get moved down the street? They cut it in half. They they don't always get back together.
I'm comfortable buying that. A bank's never going to be comfortable with it if you're going to fix and flip. But I want to check it a little harder because the electrical systems were not meant to be together. The roof was not meant to be together. You want to do a tighter inspection. The one that I own like that, it has a roof over, which made me really happy. I like those anyways, but that meant I didn't have to worry about the roof being joined the right way. What if it doesn't have one at all? Doesn't have a title, doesn't have a VIN, can't find anything. Do you still buy it?
Do the title search for it. I mean,
Yeah.
What
for
if
us,
they can't find one at all? They just can't find one.
if it's stamped on the,
Bill of sale.
They can't find it. What if they just can't find, you are not gonna find it at
Bill
all?
of sale.
Bill of sale?
Yeah, the pre-76s, I do bill of sales.
I own
Or-
some like that I do not legally own the trailer. I bought the land that happens to have a trailer. It is pre-76. It's before the year that they can legally move them around me. So I do run the risk that Courtney comes and says, I own this. And then I maybe have to fight her or something. I bought the right numbers. I
Right.
am comfortable with that risk. And I'm not planning to do anything with it but rent it. Now if I sell it, I should disclose that. So, it's all possible if you're comfortable, and that both of those scenarios gave me more reason to negotiate, because I wanted a discount, because I'm buying a riskier thing.
Right.
If, triple wide, I've never bought any, but that's gonna have a C, and the number.
Very few do you find the triple wide.
Yeah, so-
Are you gonna talk about it being tied to the land? So here we have it where you can immobilize it to where it's not gonna have a title. They take the title away and you're gonna cover that? Cause I'll show
Go
you.
ahead. Do you retire them and?
Yeah, so the title gets
That's weird.
retired when they immobilize it to the land. So one of the first things I check is, do you have a title or have you tied it to the land? And a lot of times they will maybe know one or the other, but that's something I go look in public record when it's tied to the land.
And your legal description, it just shows at the very.
It'll show if
bottom.
it has been immobilized.
Single wide Palm Harbor bin.
Yeah, so you can go and check public records for that, specifically in St. Tammany Parish, you can do that. You wanna look and see, because if they've immobilized it, they're not gonna give you a title. But if they're selling you the land and they have the title separate because they never immobilized it, you need to deal with the title. And that's actually at the closing, the title company's not gonna touch that title, because they're gonna tell you go to the DMV. You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna do the land with the title
So
company.
the title company won't take care of that here?
If it's
Not all.
immobilized, it
Yeah,
will.
if it's immobilized and tied to the land, they will, but if it's a,
Okay.
straight mobile home title, you're gonna have
So
to, not every title company will. And all mine, we had to deal with them separate if they weren't immobilized.
So our title companies will.
Well, you all have
if
like,
The title company understands it. I
Yes.
would just take a piece of what Courtney just said and ask the title company. If they can't explain any of that, I would just go to another title company.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean that they don't know what they're talking about in general real estate. They just probably are experienced in mobile homes.
yes.
And you want someone that's experienced in mobile homes so it gets done the right way.
Mhm.
There's third-party companies that will do the DMV transfer, but just make sure you're dealing with someone that knows mobile homes. My area has tons of them, and my title company has one lady that is all she does.
Right,
Her full job, and she can't even keep up, is just dealing with the mobile home closings
right.
for that one title company.
Now, Florida has such demand, you're rarely gonna find that here. But, so that's something that's really important, is finding out, is it immobilized or not? Because it's, like, that's going to tell you then, are you looking for title, are you
And I
dealing with
always
it?
ask the seller if they have it
Mhm.
Do they check
ahead of time.
the mobile home and the legal description on the deed here?
Yeah, they will actually talk about the mobilization in the legal
Do you
description.
need to get it on the legal description, a bill of sale and?
So there's a whole process through the parish to mobilize a trailer.
And your title company should do that for you if you ask them.
So you can
Right.
ask them to do it, you can ask the title company to do it, but they need to have the experience to do it.
Courtney, could you also go look at the assessor's website and see
Yes.
if it shows as an improvement?
Yeah, you can, so what they do is so for St. Tammany Parish, they have on the assessor's website, they will say, please, like it's tied to XYZ, assessment number.
They should have a.
That will then have the mobile home and the improvement on it. They will literally basically have, hey, for this tax assessor number, this one's also joined with this one, and it's usually gonna be the mobile home on the second one.
But what we're talking about is paperwork attaching the home to the land.
Yes. And so there's an actual process, yeah.
This is paperwork wise, making the home and land one piece.
Are you saying on the tax assessor site, you can find out if there's an active immobilization?
Yeah, a lot of times you can. Now, the tax assessor's website can be, have errors, so I always triple check.
Yeah.
St. Tammany Parish,
And
assessor
landlord.
is not the best.
That's also why I would have that conversation with the title company before you start it.
Or with the
Can they
owner.
carry that conversation, and if they can't, I would find one, ask Courtney who she's used, that they can do it, because I'm very big on relying on my team, that they really know what they're doing, and I pay them money to know what they're doing, because I am good at a few things, and pay people to do what they're good at. Let's talk about financing these. How do we finance this thing? This is a 1962 that comes with most of its siding. You can
Light
see.
it on fire
see
and
back
collect
here.
insurance?
Can you insure that?
Some people do.
You can't even insure that.
For real, I own this. This is my wife's anniversary gift. I closed on her anniversary one year. How do you finance this? The big bank's not gonna do it, right? So they say that they'll go down to 20 years. the big banks. Community banks around me, and I bet you can find some around here, they will go back to 76, they will say they will. Finding all their criteria becomes very difficult.
Mhm.
But in the 80s and 90s, you can find them sometimes.
One of the biggest
Right.
criterias is, for lenders is, if it's been moved
Yes.
from the actual mobile home dealer. If it got brought to one site and it's only been to that site, you have some probability of getting lending. If it's been moved after, so a second time,
Even if it's been moved 5 feet on
Yeah.
the property.
yeah,
If it's ever been
they're
moved,
not gonna lend on it after that second move.
The mid-grade one, I'll say on my book, that one is the 80s, and that's how I got to buy that one, because it had been moved. She had some other reasons, but she didn't have the option to sell it to someone for financing. When normally she could have, because everything was updated. All the skirting, all the plumbing, all the tie downs, everything, because she had moved it 5 years earlier. So everything was updated, but she couldn't sell to anyone with bank financing. So how do we buy them? Owner financing's my number one way. Back to the parks that you had mentioned, a lot of people bought them on owner financing. A lot of my people bought on owner financing. Investors or owner occupants. So it's not this new world to them. I don't get the pushback of why don't you just go to a bank? I don't have people tell me that because they already understand that they're not financeable. Especially the 60s, 70s. 90s, I get a little bit of pushback with it because they are. It's not the easiest, but they are financeable.
Does it matter whether it's a single wide or a double wide on those?
It does to some lenders. So if you are going to use banks at all, or you're going to fix and flip, you want to get all those little details from them.
Yep.
I don't deal with banks at all anymore. I do owner financing, and I don't say owner financing. I say payments. Because doesn't that sound simpler and just easier?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And which one sounds like it has interest? Owner financing or payments?
Payments.
Payments does not have interest sounding. Financing sounds like it implies interest. And I like to start at $0 or 0% interest. And if you bring it up, then I'll go up. But I don't even like to bring up the topic of interest. So payments,
Yeah.
and I have some 0%. This one was 0%. So actually I bought 2. And that was a very experienced investor. The title company knew him by name. He was burned out. The other way is private money. I heard someone say that.
Mm-hmm.
Private money is, in 1 second. Self-directed IRA is been pretty good for us because it's slow, lazy money. And we buy it lower dollars just because mobile homes are lower values. And people usually have less in their account before they have a lot. I've had people, when we were talking about earlier, the $30,000, $40,000 range. People have money to lend on it. They make really good returns. So I can even pay out a higher amount. When I was starting out and getting my first private money, I'm still paying people very, very high returns. But I'm making really, really good money on it. I was able to pay that out and prove to them that I was doing, I knew what I was doing.
Self-directed IRAs, self-directed 401ks, that is not very big in our market.
Oh.
And I've actually been bringing speakers to teach. How many of you guys have ever heard of self-directed? Okay.
Okay.
Because we've had some speakers here, and I'm trying to bring it more to our market, where literally,
You're so powerful.
it is okay. So I know a lot of my mentors. 100% of their investing is done through their self-directed and IRAs and 401ks, right? There's levels to it. The majority of my private money lenders lend through their self-directed IRAs and their 401ks. That is where I get the majority of my private lenders. Very few of them have money sitting in the bank. Most people are not liquid in the bank like they're liquid in their retirement account, right? We've got Chevrons, we've got, the power company, we've got, Textron, whatnot here in our area where people work for them for a long time and they've got good retirement accounts. This is one of the first places that you can actually find private money lenders is through that.
And from my experience with it, so I got my first private money in a mastermind. I had never borrowed, and there was 2 quick takeaways from that. Is I was giving an opportunity. I wasn't going begging for money. I gave someone an opportunity to make a return.
Mm-hmm.
And the other big takeaway I had, so in a mastermind, the ones I've been in, and I run one of them, we have an hour-ish each person, and that hour is to talk about your problems. So after time, people had heard me talk about my problems, and they heard all my problems. Well, now they've already heard the bad side of me, so now they're not wondering. I was always kind of brought up that you go to a bank, you put your best suit on, you beg for money. Well, I told them all my problems. They weren't wondering what's really going on behind the scenes. So they knew what they were dealing with versus wondering what they could be dealing with. Like when you walk into a property, it's freshly painted. Like, I hate that. It's like, what did they just hide?
So you can find in these rooms, oftentimes you can find people who are willing to private lend. That exchange meeting we do once a month. There are multiple lenders who are not your normal bank lenders. So if you're looking for funding, whether from an individual or from maybe someone who will be more open to different assets, join on that exchange meeting. I think we have at least 5 lenders who are either local investors who are looking to lend, or they are, different on that point. So that's just something to keep in mind for.
No questions, sir.
Yeah, like what kind of terms are owners giving you for something that's like beat up like that? Yeah, how long do you have to pay back?
Do you mind sharing the numbers on that deal?
When I go into it, I go ahead and run some really quick numbers at home, mainly looking at what's the most I can pay a month and still make money. I'm not willing, very rare am I willing to buy something that's break even or negative. I don't think anyone should do that until you have a large enough portfolio. This one,
Like typically you have a 5-year balloon or like what, like, you know?
I don't like balloons because to me, a balloon is scary because what if I can't refinance then? What are the problems are?
You have to predict the future.
I'll look at different things. I do have some balloon loans, and none of those are with an owner finance. All of those are with private people. And if you're gonna do that, I recommend spacing them out so you don't have a bunch all at one time. So maybe one this year, one next year, and I shouldn't even say one, a dollar value, because you might have two $20,000 ones, and you might have $100,000 one.
I don't lead with the balloon.
Yeah.
Balloons always are worst case scenarios that get built into a deal. My mentor already taught me balloons are for clowns.
That's
Like, yes. And so it's one of those things where it's like, we lead with thinking they're going to want a balloon. But I ask them, they say, hey, I'm like, I'll say, hey, well, if you give me this owner financing, I'll buy you out in a few years with the balloon. Why do we offer that?
Yeah,
Because we think that's what they want, right?
The same thing, I don't even offer the interest.
Right.
I don't bring it up unless you bring it up.
Yeah, so the balloon, and here's the thing is, I'm actually getting away from, I have had some, so I do have some balloons in some of I do a ton of the creative financing. I do have some balloons in my portfolio right now. I am not accepting any balloons right now for the next 5 years because I don't know if I can predict what the market's gonna do in the next 5 years. So I'm not willing to put myself at the back against the wall in the next 5 years.
So I do have some balloons with some private money, and I'm still getting them now. Let's say the one I just bought, I borrowed $105,000 on a property that I believe is worth at very minimum $200,000. So I have very low LTV. My payment is $525 a month. I believe I'm going to rent it for $1,800 to $2,000. So you see, those numbers to me are really safe. I set it up to where I only have that one balloon will go off that year because 105 is a lot to me to have. So I believe I can replace that if he wants his money back. If I make my payments all the time, maybe he doesn't. Or maybe he says, I want 10% now. If he says that, the numbers will still work. If I get pushed in the corner, I set myself up. If I have a balloon, I look at it, I want to be very safe. If I have to go to 10 or even 15%, will I still be able to make money? Yes, not as much. But I'm very safe there. This one, I went there to practice negotiating seller financing. That was my whole goal. The guy actually kept bugging us. He kept calling us. And my goal was just to practice that. I didn't think I was going to want to buy them. I actually bought 2 from them, side by side. But we're talking, and my line is, whatever they're asking. I think this one was $15,000 for both of them, is what he was asking. I said, I can do that if I can make payments. And shut up. If they don't say no right away, they're at least thinking about it. And usually their next question for me is, well, what do you have in mind? So that's why I already have in mind the most I can pay. I don't remember exactly how that conversation went, but this one ended up with $100 a month, $1,000 down until paid.
So that's 140 payments? Is that my, do I have my math right?
Well, so
140
that's
payments
for
at.
2 properties, so I actually bought this for $7,500.
Yeah.
And then, so $6,500,
So 65 payments at $100 a month.
Yeah, and 2 side by side. Now I had to put a lot of money, I think I put like
No,
12 grand
50
into
bucks
it
a month.
to get it. The inside actually looked a lot better than the outside in both of these. And I have it rented for, I think that one is at 700, and the one next door is at a little higher than that,
What year is that one?
62.
Is it a handyman person that's running it?
Oh yeah,
How many years back you bought this, if you don't mind me
4? 3 or 4 years ago.
From an experienced investor
Yeah.
who
I mean,
wanted to just get rid of
The
it.
title company knew his name. He said he was tired of it. He was the guy that went out and did everything himself. And he had opened a little diner that he was getting at 4 a.m., cooking and running it, and finishing up at 3 p.m. And that was wearing him out. He was in his 70s. And he kind of enjoyed that. He didn't enjoy going and doing this work. And his mentality is, you can't hire someone, you have to go do it. I also believe afterwards, I kind of figured out that the neighbors were pretty prejudiced against him. They were wanting to buy it and making fun of him. And I was not. And I treated him like a human. And I think looking back, I started realizing from some of the neighbors, they were talking bad about him. And that was a reason that he chose me over the neighbors.
What's the land worth underneath that?
It's probably worth $5,000 to $7,000 when I bought it. That land's not going to go up in value, in my opinion, ever. So.
Right.
You never know in Florida.
Yeah, you do never know. This is like down a dirt
Northport.
road, off of a dirt
I was
road.
just gonna ask you where in Florida.
It's in Lakeland. That's one of my markets. I don't care. I'm buying
It's
cash flow.
cash
If it
flow.
goes up, that's great. That's my lotto ticket. I have a few properties I buy. I call them lotto tickets. And I think that dirt, a builder's going to buy me out. I do not buy for that reason. I buy for cash flow. I might buy a little less cash flow if I think I have a lot of tickets in there. But I buy for cash flow first. Let's keep moving. Insurance. The main thing I want you to know about insurance is we do self-insure some stuff. Get liability insurance. I've talked to one person that doesn't. I think it's the silliest thing. Super cheap. You really want to look at 2 different things. Can it get named storm coverage? So that's when you're going to talk to probably a local insurance agent, and if you care about named storms, so the hurricanes, find out what their criteria is. That is probably going to be the same here as in Florida. More inland you get, the looser the requirements, so the older the home. Foremost is who used to write most of that in Florida. They pulled out of Florida, so I don't even think I can get named storm coverage on anything I own anymore. But you can insure anything. The other one, I have insurance. No, I don't have insurance on the other one. I have insurance on these 70s though. You can get it. It's for if that big tree falls on it right there.
I think Foremost is still in our market.
Are they?
I
Oh,
think.
wow.
I'm not
Also,
entirely.
they're-
No.
they're-
I can't
yeah,
say for
yeah.
sure right now because so many are leaving the market. I don't know if they're still.
You want to talk to, you're going to talk to a few insurance agents that actually deal with mobile homes. If you care about it.
American Modern, do they do mobile homes? American Modern?
I don't know. I mean, I only know the Foremost because that's who my policies that actually have named storm
Somebody just
coverage.
mentioned that to me.
But you can get coverage on anything. I have an insurance company that I use that they will cover anything. The rates will sometimes higher, or I just can't get named storm coverage on these old ones. But that big tree, I can get coverage if that falls on it, or there's a fire, or certain things. National REIA Guard is who I use. They are out of Kansas City. You can go to my website, there's a link to them.
What's your website? Say it.
LifestyleREI.com. And under resources, I have an affiliate link there. I have affiliate links for a few things, only stuff I use. I use them for almost everything. They use Lloyd's of London as the underwriter for everything I own. I
It's
know
a
people-
national real estate investor
Yeah.
specific insurance company that caters to
I'll say
investors.
One piece of them that I really like, even for the single family or other, anything that you want, is they don't require inspections. And I got tired of having they would drive by and take a picture and they really find a twig part of the tree that was
So-
close to the roof.
Insurance, I'm actually starting to try them out. I'm actually considering.
And we know people that have had claims in Florida
Mhm.
with them and got paid, because that was one of my first questions is,
Yeah, do they actually
do
pay?
they actually pay?
So I'm in the middle of multiple insurance claims, right? We're in an area full of them. I'm starting to try them out to see if they're willing. I'm actually waiting for a call back to see if they can quote me on some stuff.
Cool.
Because a lot of insurance, Louisiana very specifically is going through, we just had our fourth major insurance company that writes in the state of Louisiana go bankrupt, that the insurance commissioner had to basically step in.
We just had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and so with all the activity down here, they're fleeing the state left and right. So I'm getting creative with it. So it doesn't hurt to try.
What's the name of it again?
National REIA Guard.
Real.
It's
Yeah.
like,
So the main purpose I want to talk about is some people self-insure. We do that
mhm.
if we don't have a mortgage on it. And you can get some type of coverage.
Yeah.
I've never found anything they won't cover. Sometimes the prices are just higher or the coverage is lower.
Are there minimums, like, you gotta at least have 50,000, whatnot?
Yeah, they've started that on me. I'm like, this isn't worth 50,000, but their algorithm shows. That's when I make my decision. Do I want to pay that, or do I just want to have liability only? And I
ACV or replacement cost?
don't remember which one I go with. I'm not the best at the insurance. I talk to them.
Depends on how much,
They do
I
both.
based on how much I have into the trailer. Very often I'm into the trailers for very little. So I've gone with the self-insured
Yeah.
with the general
That's what I do with
liability
a lot of
policy.
it. All right, let's move on though to a pop quiz. This is when you just yell out the answer, okay? So first question. How do I find most of my deals?
Networking, REI, agents.
Was that you?
Networking.
Okay, networking, yes. Networking and REIAs. You've got an option here. You can either be officially my friend, or I'll give you my book.
I want you to book a mobile
All right, that's what I figured. 'Cause
I like you, I don't like you that much.
Ooh.
there you go, there's my book. All right, so now we got one more question. It's going to be a little quicker.
You don't want to see that in any kind of
So I literally just changed the question because the other one got too easy and people were, I couldn't figure out. All right, ready? Why do I buy mobile homes? That was too easy too.
Well, you have multiple books to give away there. I mean, you can do, what is that second one for me?
Yeah, I don't know. You're going to have to be the bad person to pick.
Or you can ask another question.
All right, the other question.
Hey, there's one that you spoke about with the date.
1976.
A double wide is going to have how many titles?
You gotta tell them to raise their hand first, dude, and call them. This is why it's difficult for me to get out of books, right?
That one usually I get a few people, but you guys are all good. We'll have to figure out another way. Think of another way to get that book out. All right, so the cash flow. I always talk about taking action. This is one of, I think, the most important things. I can tell you, every time I take action, I learn from my previous action, and I do a little bit better. I'm going to go over a few of my favorite quotes on taking action. You got to do something every time. So some people here have decided, I like mobile homes, and I guarantee there's a few people in the room who said, mobile homes aren't for me now. You scared me away from them. I don't like them. But we talked about marketing, and we talked about different things. We talked about networking. So if you're one of the ones that said, I don't like mobile homes, you need to find the person in the room that says, I like them, and now wholesale them. But there's something you can do to take action. So some of my favorite quotes. The price of inaction is far greater than the cost of making a mistake. Basically, start doing something, ask for help. I think that's the piece that needs to be added to this quote. But ask for help. If you're looking and waiting for that massive, perfect deal that's going to be 30% ROI, you might wait a while. But if you just do the baseball analogy, singles, and you look for something that's gonna make money, not a negative cash flow or not a break even, but something that's gonna make money, you're gonna start getting momentum, you're gonna get a little bit of snowball that money, some experience, you're gonna start making more money than waiting for a really good deal. You gotta do something. Do we have a question on there?
No, but someone said cash flow 1976
No?
and 2. Please mail me my book.
Where you are a year from today, or from the decisions you made today, you're just ignoring everything, you don't do anything. In a year, I would probably guess you don't have any better income, you don't have a better lifestyle, personal life, I mean everything. And the same thing in the next meeting, if you don't take something, the smallest piece. So more now, I leave looking for 1 to 3 things to do, instead of that 10 to 15 item list that I hear all these things. Just a few. You gotta make the action on those, and then you're gonna be better in a year. Everything we do today helps a month from now, a year from now. And then one of my coaches, your action proves your faith. The whole cliche thing that if I can do it, so can you, it is very true. These rooms, especially that mastermind networking one, you can borrow the faith of the room. You don't really believe it. There's enough people, just look at what they're doing, and we're not that special. No one, I mean, I'm only up here because I just like to talk. That's really why I'm up here. I took stuff, I took action, I did well, and now I like to talk. And share. That is a lot of it. You gotta have faith that it can work. It wasn't, like I said, there's no special thing that I did except for listen to people and take action, make some mistakes, ask for help, take action over and over and over again.
Adrian, who was your coach?
That coach is Ken Holmes. So I think right now I pay 3 coaches. I'm finishing up my book coach on my last call next week. And then I have a relationship coach, and then I have Ken Holmes as real estate and life. He's a mix of all of it. I've had other coaches, I've hired coaches. I'm very believe in good coaches that, because they've helped me a lot. They just accelerate the curve. These are my social media. AdrianSmude.com is going to bring you to my buying website, which is it's going to bring you to show you both. Buying website, mywifebuys.com, and Lifestyle REI. The reason I'm sending you to both, Lifestyle has education, but the other one is my marketing. You should just copy my marketing. Don't copy it word for word, but take it, turn it into your personality. Don't just Photoshop your head on my Speedo picture. Take the wording. Most of my stuff, all I did was find other stuff that people were doing that I liked. I reworded it, and that's all they really did, is just regurgitated it. Don't try to reinvent the entire thing. And if I can help you out in any way, let me know.
Alright, first of all, what does that QR code do? If you scan it, it'll take you to
AdrianSmude.com.
So if you're techie,
Yeah.
I never used to know that until COVID came around, I had to do it every
They were dying out, and then COVID came, and that's what we got out of COVID. Is QR codes.
Alright, so one of the things I want to encourage you guys, Lifestyle REI on Instagram, on Facebook. I knew about his yellow shirt before I really knew him. It's because he shares about it, right? If you want to say, hey, I really got thinking about the t-shirts or he's very memorable from his marketing, follow him on social media and watch how he markets, right? Hey, so, don't you have one more slide?
Yes. I have my book.
Okay, so he wrote this book. As you guys know, these meetings, we're not going to have the person in the back who's ready to take your credit card to sell you a course. But here's the thing: is first of all, he has a book on the topic. I said, hey, yeah, you're welcome to come and bring the books in the back. So if you guys are interested, he had to go figure out the sales tax for our area, which is why it's an off number. So if you're interested, he does have them. I did hear that he is signing them.
I'll tell you what it is. If you're wondering what it is, it's a story from me starting out as an evicted tenant up to allowing my or enabling my wife to retire at 29. And throughout the story, I talk about mobile homes and go in more detail of what we talked about tonight. It's just a how-to book.
Okay, so for those on the live stream, if they're interested in the book, I know that, so one of the first things I did when I wanted to learn more about real estate investing with mobile homes is I actually started reading about it. So that was one of the first things I did. So last time we were hanging out, because his book just came out, when? 2 months ago?
Not even 2 months ago.
Yeah. So last time we hung out, I grabbed this book because I'm always trying to learn because, again, a part of my portfolio is mobile homes. Any of you guys learned something tonight, right? Like I said, very much learning through. So for those who are on here and not here to buy one in person, how can they?
Amazon, you just go to Amazon, Adrian Smude, and mobile homes. Put that in there and it'll pop up.
Okay. So first of all, any final dying questions for Adrian before? Because I know you guys have been very interactive throughout. Any final questions for him?
So you're the new Lonnie Scruggs.
Lonnie did only in-home or in-park deals, and I am not doing in-park that much. But yes, I get that a lot.
So Lonnie Scruggs,
he's one of the mentors I never got to meet
Cash cow.
because he had passed away before.
so if you guys are looking for additional education, Lonnie's book, Deals on Wheels, was one of the first books I bought. They're not easy to find online. They can be very expensive online.
No, go to Gary Johnston's
Gary
website.
Johnston with a T.
That's the only place to find
Johnston.com. So that's Deals on Wheels. Lonnie was very famous for buying them within parks and then owner financing them to someone, but it stayed in the park. So it was not the land. Yeah.
Vina Jones Cox. There's some on Cashflow Depot. There's some
Oh,
Lonnie
yeah,
Scruggs
that's
stuff
right.
on
Yeah,
there.
so
That's right.
if you go to
That's the other place. to buy.
yeah,
But
Cashflow.
don't buy it on Amazon for $99. Someone's
No, it's like
reselling
200
for
and
200. Is that what it is now?
Yeah, so if you go to cashflowdepot.com, it's an educational site
Phenomenal
that both him and I learned through. It's like a lifetime membership, and you have recordings on there, some different things, and I believe they have it on there.
Yeah.
So Lonnie was very specific though. Remind me to tell you what I bought off of eBay recently. That was mobile home investing. I'm a collector of old school real estate education stuff. Not just anyone, not like the Carlton sheet, but like old school guys who are good. Sorry.
I need to introduce you to Kevin Klinsky if you haven't.
Yeah,
heard
so I'm an avid reader, right? So I'm an avid reader. I'm always wanting to learn. But there's just some people who are no longer with us. I never got to learn in person from Lonnie. So I actually just recently bought an old seminar off of eBay that Lonnie taught with Jack Miller. And it was one that, I wasn't there to participate, right? So long story short, we're always learning. If you guys enjoyed Adrian and the way he taught and how he brought things down, Adrian, he talked about it, right? He does educate. So if you're interested, he just had a seminar last week.
Saturday, actually.
So he does do stuff like that. Follow him. Because if you follow him, you'll learn about upcoming. Is he here selling that tonight? No. But here's what I've done. I've always enjoyed learning from people. I follow the ones who I resonate with or who are doing what I want to do. And then when they have additional stuff, that's when I either buy their book or there's times I've paid for coaching or I've attended a seminar. So if this is like saying, hey, I'm really starting to narrow down on mobile homes, then you want to follow people who are buying mobile homes, right? And so, so if they're interested in your book, you have a handful with you here tonight. You guys can get with them. Let's talk about the meeting after the meeting. You good still?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to send you ahead of me. Well, I might send someone else. Okay, so there's what's called the meeting after the meeting. You want to explain it?
So the boardroom meeting, we call it. Jack Shea calls it. And that's when we go have an adult beverage, or you don't have to actually have
You can get chocolate milk if you need chocolate milk.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
And we just hang out and network and talk and additional questions, and that's where for me, the real bonding happens. That's where I've listened in to the deal structure of people talking about it and learned just as much as them others.
So this is where, unfortunately, you guys who are tuning in are going to miss out. But if you guys are at home and you can put the baby to sleep or pat your husband as you leave, we're going to go ahead to Chimes down here in downtown Covington, close to downtown Covington, down 190 further down. Chimes is one of the only few places open late, so that's why we're going down there. You guys welcome to join us. if you guys aren't familiar with it, I promise you there's only one chime that's gonna show up right down the road. But we're gonna literally hang out here for a few more minutes, but we're all going, like whoever wants to go, him and I will go. And if not, we will just enjoy talking shop. Okay, the powerful thing is there's two seminars that can happen. The one that he just shared, and then the second one is the further conversations that you have. So my good friends Emil and Steve, they run the West Bank REIA. They have adopted this meeting after the meeting. Steve, Nick, you guys go to it. We were just there last week after the Gretna. So they're in Gretna. There's the Thursday night REIA last week, and the meeting ends at 8:30. We go to the restaurant. The kitchen closes at 9, so we're all getting our order in. Almost every week we stay there till midnight, talking shop, buying deals from each other, finding like, hey, who's a good contract, things like that. What are your thoughts? How has that been for you?
Speaker is good, but the networking is better. Always is. I mean, when we go down to Tampa, we go to Ohio for the REIA.
Oh, yeah.
The after-hour networking is always so much more fun if you can stumble upon it.
So it's really two seminars. So whether you drink or not, I'm not a big drinker, but I always go.
I drink good,
So
but don't worry.
So look, we're from here. Look, he's gonna stay back here for a little bit, get some books. But at a certain point, I'm gonna send him over while we break down, or I'll go over, or something like that. But we're gonna eventually head down to Chimes, grab a big table. Look, you gotta get home. You gotta get home. That's fine. But if you were like, hey, I want to come and stay, even for 30 minutes, come on down and join us, guys. Next week we have more meetings. If you go to Courtney10k.com, top left link has upcoming events. It's the link for where you can find that. Top right link is our YouTube channel. So for example, if you guys missed last Tuesday night's talk about the Burr method, that's where it was recorded. The recording here is going to go up on our YouTube channel in the next few days. So if you're like saying, hey, I want to go back and rewatch this or send this to my business partner because we're thinking about, mobile homes. Hey guys, let's give it up for Adrian. Thank you guys for coming up tonight. I will see you guys at Chimes or next week. And you'll be in the back with some books.
And
Okay?
I got business cards back there too. I love to connect with people, so